Alright. Can you guys hear me? Okay, good. Alright, YouTube, how y'all guys doing tonight? Sorry for not uploading the video yesterday. I've been going through a lot of stuff, man. And I don't know, man. I've got to get on I've got to get on a regular upload schedule again, man, and everything. I've just been going through a lot recently, man. It's just a lot of stuff I've been having to deal with and go through lately. I got the video uploaded. It was a lot shorter yesterday because I was going through. I wasn't feeling well yesterday. I was sick and I was not doing well, and I was not feeling well. My head was hurting me even yesterday, and I had I was sick. I was motion sick, and I wasn't feeling well. And for some reason, when I tried to play Winds Meet Fate, I couldn't play it because I was feeling sick, and I couldn't concentrate on playing. I don't know if it was like how low the frame rate was, or something else. But I've been uploading so late, been uploading, on such a late upload schedule. I've got to fix that, hopefully in the future. I had planned to try to fix that today. I was going to get up earlier, but I was up last night till like 5 in the morning, so yeah, we got a lot of stuff to go over, including news going on in the Middle East and Israel. And I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but have you guys lately kind of felt like things have been weird and strange in the world? And the world's kind of, all the pieces are coming together leading up to what I believe is like the rapture in the in the tribulation and the last days prophecies. I feel like we're living in a time where, with the digital age of technology and seeing so advanced in a lot of stuff, that time is speeding up more than ever, and it gets later more than usual, and it gets earlier on certain days. I don't know if it's me and the times I keep now, but I felt strange. I've been feeling sick and not very well the last couple of days. That's why my upload schedule has gotten a lot shorter, and I haven't uploaded like I did. Haven't been feeling well the last 2 days. And just kind of been lethargic and felt like sleeping a lot lately, and been not really wanting to do much of anything since I started playing. Since I started staying up late playing Gauntlet every day with the family and everything, and I don't know. I've been dealing with depression and anxiety lately, and I've just been kind of feeling alone with all these late night hours. And it's just, I don't know. We're living in some strange, crazy times, man. We really are, and I don't know how I feel, from the National Guard being in these cities to a Gaza stabilization force in the Middle East to Trump meeting with MBS on the 18th of September, or November, I'm sorry. To all these things happening with the digital ID and all these things, I just feel like we're soon going to come to a point where the world is going to have another event that's going to bring about the beast system and digital ID and all these things. And you're going to be living under this system in the future, for those that aren't saved and don't believe and aren't raptured. Like, I truly believe we are living in post-apocalyptic times and things like that, and we're living in the last days, and it's hard for me to not notice this stuff going on with the world and things like that. And I don't know, we're just living in some interesting times where I believe we're living in the birth pains that was said would happen, and the prophesied end times where that one day, pretty soon in the next couple of years, the world and America is going to see a time where the world is going to be in the worst time in history, in the hardest time in history, with the next 7 years. Once this covenant is confirmed, and I believe once these countries join the Abraham Accords, which forms the Abraham Alliance, in this big meeting with Trump in Saudi Arabia, dude, on the 18th, it's going to bring about the plan that's coming. And I believe Jared Kushner's the one behind all this, and he's going to lead up to the covenant with many. I believe we are going to see a time like no other happen in the next couple of years. Not to mention they want to roll out the digital euro by 2029. So I just think we're living in a time where if you don't have the ability to discern and understand what's happening and get an idea, you can be misled or confused, or you can be led astray and not understand. I don't know if it's that people don't want to know or that they choose not to know, but it's hard. It's hard when you look at it to ignore it. Because I feel like it's going to come to, it's going to start in Europe, it's going to start in 27 countries by 2026, and it's going to come to America pretty soon. I mean, Apple's already rolled out the digital ID on iPhones. I just can't help but think pretty soon in the future, by 2030, America's going to fall and so is the world, and it's going to change dramatically once all of these countries join the Accords and it forms into the alliance, and then that probably leads to the covenant with many in the future for 7 years. It's going to lead up to the worst time. It's going to lead up to the worst 7 years in history, And the world's in a time where I think they're very divided on everything, which was said would happen. And there's a lot of turmoil and chaos and fighting, including with ICE and all these things. Not to mention Mexico just had a problem the other day where fighting broke out after the mayor was assassinated. So a lot of global chaos and turmoil. Not to mention we're on the verge of wars in the Middle East and in our own country. We're on the verge of possibly a war with Venezuela. We're living in very global, political, global, prophetic, chaotic times. I very well think we're living in the time of 1 Thessalonians 5:3. So when they say peace and safety, sudden destruction, but I've been thinking about this stuff and I'm like, this stuff very well could roll out or it could happen in the next 3 years. And it's like, I find it hard to believe we're not like in that era, but in that perspective, but it is. We're living in some strange times. We got the National Guard being deployed in 30 states by January 2026, possibly. I mean, I feel like we're living out like Orwell's 1984 or Hunger Games, or stuff like that, right? It's just what was prophesied years ago is coming to light now, and things are changing. And I don't know, it's just hard not to notice. I don't know how people can not see it, or not realize it. But we're living in some very interesting times, and I think it's good to know, to discern, to realize, but it can put you, it can I don't know, do stuff to you, man. I don't know, and I been trying to get away from a lot of that, but it's hard not to know by pay attention to what's going on, because it's just important. It's just a lot of big stuff there, and I've been doing some thinking, and I believe we are living in those times, man. We're living in that time period where things just are all happening at once, falling into place, and I just think we're going to see some big things happening in the next 3 years, especially by 2026 and beyond. And they want to do all this by 2030, set all this up, including roll out the digital ID in 26 countries. Not to mention you have data centers and Project Stargate. You have all these AI companies Trump's meeting with and investing in. You have Palantir, and you have these types of things that make you wonder, are we not living in the biblical end times, leading up to what's coming? What was the prophesied birth pains, last day stuff, and pieces falling into place, you know. I've never seen a year like I had this year, where so many things are falling into place and happening like it said it would happen, or it would come about. There's so much peace talk around the world, a discussion. Them calling Trump the president of peace, but it looks like war is happening around certain places. Iran gearing up for some other stuff happening in December, possibly sending out warnings by notifications and phone alerts for what's coming, and by telling us that doing something could happen by December. And so many big things happening, including Trump signing that big beautiful bill into law, where one of the things is about AI, and you have the Gaza peace plan deal and the ceasefire going on, and all the phases, and phase 1 and 2, talking about a stabilization force possibly disarming Hamas. Breaking the bull of Elon being broken and all this, you know, and White House ballroom, you know, all these things that are happening. I'm not saying Trump is the Antichrist or anything, but he sure has traits and checks boxes that make you wonder and think about these things, and it's a possibility. But what was predicted 2,000 years ago, I believe, is coming to light today in the modern age, including with technology and a digital future. And not to mention, we living in the times of Daniel, where he told him to shut up the book, to seal the book, and to shut up the words and seal the book till the time at the end. We're living in the day and age of, I believe, things setting up for the end. I don't know. I'm not saying that's just my opinion, but things setting up toward the end, right? Events falling into place. People shall go to and fro, and knowledge shall increase. Knowledge has increased tremendously when you look at it. And it makes you wonder. I mean, Saudi Arabia is buying F-35 jets from Qatar. There's looking like there's a war building up in the Middle East. And you had to stop with Venezuela. The Antichrist cannot be the Antichrist cannot he cannot be around yet, because he can't present himself until after the rapture. But it makes you wonder. Trump is doing a lot of things to set up what's coming for the future leader for the 7-year covenant. And it makes you wonder, like, is he being used? And he survived that assassination attempt back on July 13th. Is he being used to set up the end times? To bring about the Antichrist, you know, and everything, and to bring all this about, the digital age, AI, money, the Genius Act, and all these things that he's done. Data centers, putting a lot of money into AI, meeting with big tech companies and all these individuals, including Big Pharma. He's also made a deal with Big Pharma for diet pills and stuff. You know, I just wonder. Building a ballroom in the White House, because, like, building a White House ballroom, possibly doing stuff like that. And, things like that, like AI based stuff. And they stopped minting pennies, bringing us one step closer to digital money. A visa, a H-1B1 visas being revoked. Talked about in his first first term running for president. He talked about a biometric visa tracking system for mainly illegals, but then it could be coming to a theater near you in the future, right? And by land, air, and sea. We already have the Real ID rolled out in June. You can't fly without having a Real ID. Mainly have to have a passport. But it makes you wonder. U.S. is turning on Israel too, and working on trying to recognize a Palestinian state, and building a Gaza draft resolution for a stabilization force and stuff in the future. A Palestinian force. The U.S. getting ready to recognize a two-state solution in the future, maybe by Monday. And something happened in December. And I just wondered, man, And it really makes you think. But this person is going to make a deal with Israel and Palestine and confirm this thing for 7 years. And then he's going to turn on Israel because he hates the Jews. Going to start a war in the Middle East. Going to break the pact or the covenant. Last 3.5 years. And he's going to form his own religion and his own one world religion and his own perspective as an individual. And being Christian or being a believer will get you hunted or killed. Will get you hunted or killed in the future by this person. It's going to bring together a one world religion, unite these religions together, which is Islam, Judaism, and Christianity, into a global world order. And makes you wonder, because when they made Hunger Games, the movies were kind of like this this post-apocalyptic Middle Eastern vibe. It's like the districts look like they were a divided country in certain places. It also looked like in the movies it looked like the Middle East was and they were at war. It was a very Roman setting In the middle, in the Antichrist, he comes from a forgotten Roman Empire. When you look at it, that makes a lot of sense in the beast system. But they want to put Gaza peacekeepers. They want to put a Gaza peacekeeper stabilization force there. They want to have that in 2026, and they want to have that, and that's a deal through 2027. And I just wonder. I don't know if Trump is a religious person, or he believes in God, or he's a godly person, but he's never denied that he doesn't believe in God. That person who's that future 7-year that person who's that future world leader for 7 years will do that. Make himself to be God. However, he is blasphemous. He does boast a lot, and he does talk a lot about himself, and he does have some of the traits that present an antichrist, but he's not the antichrist, I don't think. Certain individuals. However, a lot of people refer to Revelation 13 as being the mark of being the deadly wound that he suffered. He came back from July 13th. Revelation 13's and he will receive a deadly wound and be healed, and then everybody will follow after the beast. And no one can wage war. Who can wage war with him? No one can wage war with him. Trump's making a lot of peace deals. It makes you wonder, though. It does. And he's been able to get away with a lot of things, including with certain states and places. And and he's been able to go against the courts and do certain things. Wants to get rid of the filibuster, wanted to get rid of the filibuster, and wanted to set term limits and certain things like this in the future. So certain stuff makes you wonder. And he's just doing a lot of things that I wonder about. And this deal goes through 2027. And while he's making peace deals, looks like war is breaking out on certain places. And I don't know. But I wonder. Not to mention this countries that have given him awards, like a golden crown, certain things like that, which matches certain scriptures, certain biblical scriptures. And he's just been able to do a lot of things to make you wonder, including attacking Venezuelan drug boats, even though we really don't know if they're really actually deadly coming into the U.S. So you have to think about it. Is he the prophesied Antichrist? I don't think he is, but I have wondered. I don't think he is, but I have wondered. I don't think he is, but I have wondered. I don't think he is, but I have wondered. I don't think he is, but I have wondered. I don't think he is, but I have wondered. I don't think he is, but I have wondered. I don't think he is, but I have wondered. I don't think he is, but I have wondered. I don't think he is, but I have wondered. I don't think he is, but I have wondered. I don't think he is, but I have wondered. I don't think he is, but I have wondered. I don't think he is, but I have wondered. I don't think he is, but I have wondered. I don't think he is, but I have wondered. I don't think he is, but I have wondered. I don't think he is, but I have wondered. I don't think he is, but I have wondered. I don't think he is, but I have wondered. I don't think he is, but I have wondered. I don't think he is, but I have wondered. I don't think he is, but I have wondered. I don't think he is, but I have wondered. I don't think he is, but I have wondered. I don't think he is, but I have wondered. I don't think he is, but I have wondered. I don't think he is, but I I guess we'll see by 2026. There's some big things happening by 2026. They want to roll out this system by December, and they want it to go. They want it to be a thing by 2026. They also want to have the digital ID. They want to roll out the digital ID in all these countries by 2026 too. So I guess we'll see by next year. But I wonder. It's got me thinking. Not to mention there's just so many things to add up to what's happening in Gaza, including with Israel and Hamas and disarming. Jared Kushner's behind a lot of this plan too, and it's a possibility that Trump could be the false prophet and Jared could be the Antichrist. I'm not saying this comes to it, but and when you look at it, this guy's a peace plan. It ain't really holding up. It's looking like it's going to break anytime soon, and they're going to go back to fighting. But I've really been thinking about this. And I wonder, Hamas won't disarm, or leave the tunnels and lay their weapons down, and you have Hezbollah being supplied with resources. You have all this stuff happening like it's never happened before this year, and seeing all these things, and possibly by 2026 it's gonna happen, and certain stuff makes you wonder, is a digital ID the mark of the beast, or the beast system? Is it the limit that they're going to put on you, where you can only do certain things, where you cannot buy or sell within certain parameters without doing certain things? Is a digital ID going to be the ability to where you cannot buy or sell? And I've been wondering, it really makes you think. What if? And all this stuff is just interesting. But we'll have to see what's going to happen on the 18th of September. Or November, I'm sorry, the 18th of November, with this meeting. Because Trump said once Saudi Arabia joins the Accords, all the other countries will join too. And then want to expand it into the alliance. It's a possibility that the Abraham Accords could be the covenant with many coming. Not saying that, but a lot of people have been thinking that. A lot of people have been thinking that the Accords could be the covenant with many. And we're living in some very interesting times. Not to mention what Trump's doing. And all these things. And what's going on in the Middle East with Gaza and Hamas and Israel. And the Hezbollah war is about to break out. It looks like there's about to be a war that's going to break out with Hezbollah soon. Saudi Arabia the dude that met with Trump a couple of days ago, saying that they will not join the accords unless they are they're able to get back to Golan Heights. And war breaking out in India and Pakistan, Burbank, Pakistan, and then something else happening last night with a bomb in Mexico. Mexico protesting over what happened yesterday. Feels like the world's sort of like breaking down and going into global chaos, you know? And there's nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom, like it said would happen, you know? Nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom. There's famine about to break out again. There's a H1N5 bird flu virus that is already spreading to Washington State, that has broken out this month. It's a possibility we could have another case of another lockdown, another pandemic coming, maybe by next year or 2028. I didn't know this, but apparently the COVID broke out in Washington State. COVID was actually where originally the virus started from. It was in Washington State where the COVID virus actually happened. It first started in Washington State, so there you go. Several signs breaking out. Several end-time signs breaking out across the world. Pestilence. We almost had a pestilence problem with the government shutdown, where people were not getting food, and they're not getting their SNAP benefits, and not getting paid, and couldn't provide for their families to put food on the table and certain things. You know, they couldn't take care of their families, kids, certain things like that, you know. Earthquakes happening, earthquakes in various places, wars and rumors of wars, crazy weather in certain places, you know. I don't know, just stuff like that, man. The signs are there. It's just leading up to, and it's just these events are falling into place leading up to what's coming in the next couple of years. I very well believe we could see stuff happening in the next couple of years, all falling into place. I believe that it's all being set up. The beast system is here. They're just setting it up in the next couple of years. I believe all the signs are there. I believe that they're setting everything up for what's coming, but all the pieces are falling into place. I believe we're living in that time, but all the signs are leading up to what's coming. All the signs are there. The groundwork is just being laid. All the pieces are being put into place for for what's to come, and very well the future rapture, and what could happen, and the Antichrist and the Antichrist beast system. And what could happen. Am I saying Trump is the Antichrist? No. But I am saying that I think Trump is one of the people setting things up for what's coming, and very well could be putting everything into place for the end times. He very well could be the figure that's going to be around during the next couple of years when they're setting up these pieces for the end times in the beast system and what's coming. So it's looking like he's going to be. I mean, obviously, but he's going to be the one that's going to be around when they're setting up all these pieces. And to me, he very well could be the figure that will be in office leading up to the beast system in the end times. Trump very well could be the one in office that's setting up for the end times in the beast system. They're setting it all up, and then probably another pandemic. I'm not saying that's the case, but you never know. There's a future female president in 2030, according to The Simpsons, and you got to look at it like, Trump is going to be in office when all these pieces fall into place, and when this happens, including when the digital ID is rolled out in 27 countries next year. So, makes you wonder, is he going to be the final president that's going to usher in the end times? Maybe. Or is he setting up the pieces to bring the end time scenarios for the Antichrist and the Antichrist system and bringing about the covenant? Is he the one setting up all the pieces for the covenant, and his son-in-law Jared Kushner the Antichrist? Because I think he might be. Because a lot of this is Jared Kushner's Middle East peace plan and his deal, including with the Saudis. A lot of this is Jared Kushner's plan. Jared Kushner recognized the Abraham Accords. They signed it into place, and then boom, they're just building on the Accords in Trump's second term. Jared Kushner presented this plan to Trump back in 2020, before the pandemic, and put it into place. But they signed the Accords into place, and it makes you wonder, he's going to be in office when all these events happen, especially with the Accords. Is he going to be in office when all these things are set up for the coming Antichrist and Antichrist system? Is his son-in-law Jared Kushner going to be the Antichrist? Is he setting everything up to hand it over to his son-in-law when if he leaves office in 2028, if he doesn't get a third term, and everything? And is his daughter going to run for president in 2028? And if she wins, is she going to be the last president? And is that going to lead to Jared becoming the future leader? Because like Trump, Jared Kushner has no political experience whatsoever. But somehow he has a lot of power and control and a lot of say behind everything that's going on, including in the Middle East. She has a lot of influence. So it's a possibility that when you look at it, is Jared Kushner going to be that person? Is Trump setting the pieces for the end time scenario and biblical prophecy for what's coming? Is he in office to set up the end times biblical prophecy and scenarios? Is he setting up the rapture and tribulation for the future? Is Trump in office to bring about the biblical end times events, especially in Israel? You know, because there's a lot of people out there believe, oh, he's a beast, that Revelation 13, the assassination attempt on his life was a deadly wound and he survived that, and then people flocked to him in numbers and voted for him, and then they followed after him, and that was the verse, or that was the idea of them following after the beast and his deadly wound was healed. Or he's chosen one of God and he was handpicked by God for a time as this to save America and to be the one that's going to be the president that's going to usher in the end times in his second term. In other words, the end times are going to come about with him in office in the next 4 years. His final term. So by the time he leaves office, he would have served 7 years as president. 2 terms. I think 4 years, 2017 to 2020, and then 2025 to 2028, that would be 8 years. He would have served 8 years as president. Is it a possibility that he will be the president? Will he be in office when all these events are put into place by the globalists and, the satanic forces that run the world and behind the scenes of the government and all these individuals and, all these people that are plotting his downfall and don't want him around anymore? Is he going to be in office when they're setting up everything to come in the future to control humanity and bring about the beast system? Is he going to be in office when they want to set up the end? When they're getting ready to set up the end? When the satanic New World Order is setting up the pieces to fall into place like the Bible said would happen in the next 3 years of Trump's term, and everything, right? Including digital ID. Which, I wonder, because it makes me think. I have never seen events like I have put into place while he's in office like I have in his second term. I've never seen events happen like I have with him in office the last 2 times as president. I've never seen the type of things that have happened except under him being president. There's been so many big events that have happened in the last couple of years with him as president that it makes you wonder that they have been setting stuff up since he has been elected, since 2020. And then, all that other stuff. So, I've never seen all these events planned behind the scenes like I have to get rid of Trump or to bring about the end or to usher in the beast system like I have never before have seen with him. I just wonder. I wonder when you look at it, was that what was supposed to happen? Is Trump going to be the last president of America? And we're going to see the downfall of America and the world in 2030. Just like the Bible predicted. And we're going to see something by 2028. Maybe a pandemic or another event to bring about the future beast digital ID system. The digital system that's coming about. You know, is he going to be in office when the end times are about to come? Well, obviously. But is he president? Is he the last president when all these events happen? Because there are people out there that believe God saved Trump's life for a time as this. He's going to be in office to lead what's coming. He's going to be in office to be in charge of America, to bring about all these events that are coming, and including with Israel, and they're setting everything up. He's going to be president. People believe he's going to be the last president of America before the downfall of our country. Because if he's seeing Simpsons, and I believe in predictive programming. I do, to be honest with you. It's been in a lot of movies and TV shows. I believe in predictive programming, and I believe they show you what they do before it happens, or they tell you what's going on. They show you what they're planning right in front of your face before they do it, or they have been putting a plan right in front of people for years, especially now. But I believe that there's a Simpsons episode that aired in 2000 called Bart to the Future. And Bart goes to this stuff is really dangerous when you get into it, because it's not to go get involved with or to touch. There are people out there that believe that people can predict the future, but not really. These people are either involved in some kind of dark stuff, or they're demonic or evil. Don't do that. I don't recommend it. People mystics, palm readers, and people that can read your future. People that can talk to deads. People that can talk to... supposedly people that can talk to other people on the other side, that can talk to the dead. People that claim that when they gather around the table, it's a seance. A seance can speak to dead family members, and that's not them. That's a demon, or you contacting something from another world or another place. That is very very bad to get involved with, to do that. But Bart goes to see some dude that can predict his future, alright? And his sister Lisa is president. And he's a down on his luck musician / person who can't really get any gigs. He can't really do really well. He's not great. He gets booed off stage. He goes to play at a restaurant, and it's like this digital AI future. And you have Homer trying to hook up stuff, and it's like a VR headset or something. I don't know. It's like VR, or it's like some kind of digital thing, and you can't figure out how to get it going. Bart comes home, says he needs to borrow money, and America's in really bad shape. The future of the country's in really bad shape when what happens. And he gets the address from someone, I don't know, and he goes to the White House to visit Lisa. And I don't know, I guess in the future they'll just let you just come right in. They'll let you just come right into the White House. According to it, because he just walks right in, and then Secret Service agents tackle him. I don't really know what happens. I guess he climbs the fence, comes over, what's else? I don't know. He finds the address of the White House, and he goes to find Lisa. His sister's president. And I don't know if they're predicting Kamala Harris being president or not, or if they predicted her being president in 2024. But when Kamala got inaugurated as VP in 2021 under Biden, she was wearing a purple necklace. He was wearing a purple pantsuit and a pearl necklace when she raised her hand to be inaugurated as VP. If she was even inaugurated as VP, which we know what 2020 was. It was a rigged election. Anyway, it shows Lisa Simpson wearing a pearl necklace and purple pantsuit like Kamala was wearing. And it shows her giving a campaign speech or running for president. And her campaign speech is to get elected was and like Biden, the reporters asked her weird questions, where they don't even remember anything, and she just answers the same questions over and over, basically in the show. And she gets some of the most weirdest people asking her questions. Like, wasn't I wearing a hat? And she says, yes, you were. Anyway, I don't know, like, people that, I don't know, were just, dumbed down, basically, is the question. I think is really what that was a representation of. It was a dumbing down society in the fall of America, basically, is what it was, Our country at that point was run by idiots, and people who lived at that point was run by idiots, and individuals who didn't even know where they were anymore, or what was going on. So, yeah, okay. And our campaign speech was excellent. She said, excellent question. I'm proud to be the first straight female president. And she says, my goal is reading, writing, and refilling the ocean. And then she goes behind the curtain, and then later it shows her inaugurated and elected as president. And she says, we've inherited a budget crunch from President Trump. She says, how bad is it? Secretary Van Helton, and it says, oh, we're broke. And she's like, the country's broke. How can that be? And it's like there's another pandemic or some kind of event that brings about the country going into debt, just like COVID. Because we were in a major debt crisis during COVID. COVID caused the economy to go into a really bad place during 2020. It was the worst the economy's ever been. But the economy really was screwed after COVID. So, it's like they sabotaged Donald Trump rebuilding America and trying to fix the economy. It's like they sabotaged Donald Trump's rebuilding of the American economy. Again, they crashed the economy because they don't want it to be rebuilt back up and fixed. They want to They want to crash the economy, rebuild it, change everything into digital money, and bring about the system of the future. They don't want the dollar to be around. They want to weaken the dollar so much that they can bring about the digital currency. So, like, it's a possibility that it's a possibility that Kamala becomes president by 2030, and they show like a stock market arrow and says the economy has crashed, and they talk about, remember when the last administration chose to invest in the nation's children, and they don't have any money left, they're broke. Midnight Basketball taught them to focus without sleep, and then you had we borrowed from every country we could get from, and says, do I have enough money left to build, is there enough money left to build largest bookmobile, and everything and stuff. So at that point, the country's so much in debt, they have no money left. They've reached a crisis where they're pretty much out of money. They borrowed money from every country at this point, that they're so much in debt that at this point they can't fix the economy. And that's kind of where we are, bro. When you look at it, we are trillions of dollars in debt. But we are already in a major financial debt crisis with money. And it may be too late to fix the economy under Trump. He probably can't even fix it. I think he's going to try to, but there was so much damage done under Joe Biden with COVID and other things that I doubt Trump can fix it. He's going to try to. There's so much in debt. The economy is so much in debt at this point, I don't even think Trump can fix it. But I don't even know if Trump can fix it. I really don't think he can. We're such in a bad state with our economy that I don't think he can fix it. Trump inherited such a big mess and problem from Biden that I don't think he can even fix the economy. They did so much to the debt and the economy and prices and everything that it messed it all up. And COVID caused a lot of problems. So at this point, I don't even think Trump can fix the economy in only 4 years. But maybe. He is a businessman. He knows about stocks, stuff like that. He knows real estate. Maybe he can fix it. He's not an economist, I know that for a fact, but he could probably fix it. He could. I don't know, it's 4 years, but yeah. Country's in a debt crisis at this point. I don't think that they could do. They borrowed from so many countries, sent money to certain places, and spent so much money on random shit, and did a lot of things to make everything worse. That at this point, I don't think you can fix it. They really made it. It got a lot worse under Biden those next 4 years after he became president. The economy got worse. That it's like, I don't even think he can fix it. But I don't know if they were referring to Kamala being president in 2024 or um, or some other person. Um, um, or maybe after he leaves office, there's a problem. I mean, after maybe in his second term, there's another problem with the economy, and somehow she comes in to fix the issue because they create a problem, and they find a way to get rid of Trump again. She's the one that comes in as president. Like they rig it, or they cheat, or they do something for her to win in 2028. Probably because his daughter's going to run for president, according to Simpsons, and stuff like that. But yeah, like Lisa Simpson becomes president by 2030, so something could happen, and it makes you wonder. And she says we inherited a budget crunch from President Trump, so I don't know. Was it a possibility after Biden stepped down in 2020, or they told him to step down, that Kamala was supposed to be president? Maybe. Maybe they predicted it, or maybe they thought she was going to win. Like they had it in the bag that they pretty much knew she was going to win. After she got inaugurated for VP in 2021. And then you have 2022, Biden being president in 2022, 2023, and then she was running for president in 2024. So, I'm not saying that they predicted Trump was president after in the 2000 episode, but it makes you wonder. And just looks like Kamala Harris. It really does. But 2028 could get interesting. And I'm not saying it will, but I don't know. It really does make you wonder. It really does make you wonder. It's like they shut the country down, and then like there's a pandemic, and then they're in like a debt problem, and talking about borrowing from other country. But they've been borrowing from countries for years, including China. They borrowed from a lot of countries under Biden, and they literally they put so much money into random stuff from other countries that the economy ended up in so much debt and worse under Biden. Dude, I don't even know if Trump can
after Trump inherited that, I don't know he can fix it. It was different in his first term, but this time around after COVID, a lot of things changed after he left office. And in his second term, things are different, including with war, so I don't know. Maybe Kamala might run again, and Ivanka might be Ivanka Trump and Kamala Harris for 2028. Maybe she becomes president by 2030. It wouldn't surprise me, actually, to be honest. But anyway, enough of my rambling. Let's see what's going on with the news. Simulations show a single solar storm can wipe out every satellite in orbit. The next Carrington event could erase our entire satellite network. There will be signs in the sun and moon and stars. 2136. The Carrington event of 1859 remains the strongest solar flare on record, illuminating skies with brilliant auroras and disrupting global telegraph networks long before satellites, GPS, or the internet existed. A recent European Space Agency simulation explores the consequences of a similar solar flare struck today. No orbiting asset would survive unscathed. In the ESA model, a massive solar flare 5 times more intense than observed in the current solar cycle so far erupts unexpectedly. Within hours, radiation and plasma bombed Earth satellites sustain instant damage, navigation fails, and an upper atmosphere heats up, expanding dramatically. This expansion boosts atmospheric drag by as much as 400%, forcing satellites into decaying orbits where they'd grown up. The outcome: complete collapse of satellite-dependent systems, including GPS, weather prediction models, dependent upon the static communications and Earth observation. Even low Earth orbit satellites which offer some natural shielding will succumb to this extreme storm. This reminds me of the stars falling in the sixth seal judgment down the road in Revelation 6:13. This is no mere hypothetical. Experts calculate a 12% probability of a Carrington scale event occurring in a century. As society's dependence on space infrastructure deepens, the risk of unpreparedness escalates. ESA researchers selected pandemic preparedness. The timing is uncertain, but proactive measures are critical. With satellite constellations projected to increase 10 times tenfold by 2050, the potential fallout grows even more severe, ever more severe. Between Israel's Prime Minister and Israel's President, Israel will not agree to the establishment of a Palestinian terrorist state in the heart of the land of Israel, aka two-state solution. Israel Foreign Minister Gideon Saar. Mohammed bin Salman's visit to Washington on Tuesday is being misread. Much commentary assumes that Riyadh is headed toward normalization with Israel. It is not. The fundamentals blocking normalization remaining unchanged in Israel shows no signs of meeting even minimal conditions. Normalization is simply not happening. Leak analysis underestimate how low the regional price actually is and how far Israel is from meeting even that. Riyadh's calculus is strategic. Saudi Arabia wants stability, predictability, and a functional regional order. Normalization will only make sense if it advances those aims. Under current conditions, it does not. Saudi officials view Israel as a generator of instability, like the Gaza policy, settlements, expansion into the West Bank, and refusal to outline a political horizon make normalization a liability. Israel offers no pathway to even a constrained, demilitarized Palestinian state. Saudi continues to wait. Now the USA is designating this group as officially being a terrorist group. The USA can now officially launch airstrikes into Venezuela due to being a terror organization that threatens the U.S. I knew something was going to happen. Secretary of State Rubio says the U.S. intends to designate Venezuela's Cartel de los Soles, allegedly tied to Maduro, as a foreign terrorist organization, accusing it of terrorism links and major drug trafficking. Though it says these stories get crazier by the day. The USS Gerald Ford has entered the Caribbean and is approaching the Venezuelan coast. Interesting, explosive days could happen this week for all we know. This is much more than just dealing with drug cartels. It's really insane. This lava was flying high, far and high up. This is huge. Elias Kalia volcano just unleashed a massive wing-shaped eruption with lava fountains soaring 1,500 feet high. At the end, it takes on the look of being devil horns of ram horns. Or ram horns. Digital ID is the first step Chinese government took to build social credit system. It will turn your country into a papers please society, and you will lose all your privacy and freedom. Digital ID is a digital dog tag. Once it's around your neck, you won't be able to take it off. Breaking: schools in New York City require students to learn to use Arabic numerals for all their relevant subjects. Madani has announced his first policy. Children in New York's public schools will now be required to learn Arabic numerals. 35% of passengers about to board this Air India flight requested wheelchairs in an attempt to scam the priority boarding system. Mexico just blew open. A sitting senator says the president works for the cartels and since Sheinbaum campaign was funded by them. Minutes later, the president threatened to jail her. Now Mexico City is erupting. So we're going to invade Mexico and have war with the cartels on our border. No, they're inside the USA and will cause havoc everywhere. Another United flight makes emergency landing in St. Louis due to bomb threat. A man on board a flight from Dallas to Chicago reportedly told the flight crew that there was a bomb in his wife's luggage. Charged think tank planes such as Munch 16. A major U.S. carrier has entered the Caribbean as Trump sets his sights on Venezuela. Trump says he may be having some discussions with Maduro, and we'll see how that turns out. But they would like to talk. Discover OMI AI, your personal AI that listens, remembers conversations, takes notes, and does tasks for you, staying organized and proactive with real-time notifications and comprehension. Discover OMI AI, your personal AI that listens, remembers conversations, takes notes, and does tasks for you, staying organized and proactive with real-time notifications comprehension. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu today at the start of the government meeting. We're in an election year. Elections will take place by the end of the Jewish year. We know that I assume at the end of the Jewish year, but during this election, we are witnessing a primary election attack, both from within the Likud and outside of it. Issues that are constantly being discussed in the attack of tweets, which I don't recall regarding security matters previously are. I said I updated and also regarding issues related to our national security. I remind you that these matters are determined in coordination with the Prime Minister who is responsible for this. Now I want to address two specific issues. First issue is the subject of the alleged non-demilitarization of the part of Gaza that is in the hands of Hamas. There will be no such thing even in the 20-point plan, and then everything else, this territory will be demilitarized and Hamas will be disarmed. Either this will happen the easy way or it will happen the hard way. This is what I said. And this is what President Trump also said. Regarding a Palestinian state, our opposition to a Palestinian state in a terrorist way in a territory west of Jordan River, this opposition is existing, valid, and has not changed one bit. I've been rebuffing these attempts for decades, and I'm doing it both against pressures from outside and against pressures from within. So I do not need affirmation, tweets, or lectures from anyone. Recently, we have been witnessing two types of disturbances that we reject completely. One is disturbances against elected officials, whoever they may be, and there was such violence against our friend MK Ben Tuzar just yesterday. This is a very small minority. It does not represent the ultra-Orthodox public. We must fight these violations of the law with our might, and we will do so. Need a fork or a spoon to eat this. Come on. Shit. Oopsie. What was that? Why am I having lighting issues? That might be why I'm having. Might be why I'm feeling dizzy.
percentage for this?
Gideon saw Israel is groping with an extraordinary phenomenon. Terrorist states, terrorist organizations controlling territory. 3 of them were still fighting with the aim of destroying it from Hamas. Hamas from Gaza, Hezbollah from Lebanon, and the Houthis from Yemen. Israel will not agree to the establishment of a Palestinian state, Palestinian terrorist state in the heart of the land of Israel, and a negligible distance from all its population centers and with topographical control over them. Israel's policy is clear: no Palestinian state will be established. The IDF will remain at the peak of Mount Hermon and in the security zone. Gaza will be fortified down to the last tunnel. Hamas will be disarmed on the yellow side by the IDF, and the old Gaza by the international force or by the IDF. Mexico, during Saturday's demonstrations outside the National Palace, protesters spray painted the words "Jewish whore" on the gates of the presidential residence, according to local reports. The slur referred to Sheinbaum, the country's first female and Jewish president. Gideon Saar, Israel strongly condemns the anti-Semitic and sexist slurs directed at Mexico's President Claudia Sheinbaum Pardo. There is no place for such attacks in political discourse. All forms of anti-Semitism in any context must be rejected unequivocally. Israel Foreign Ministry and Pharisee, you people of Iran and sons and daughters of the great Cyrus, you can free your country from the yoke of the tyrants. Thousands of protesters swarmed Mexico City on Saturday, attacking police officers attempting to breach a security barrier around the National Palace, which houses the federal government's executive branch. Plumes of tear gas filled the streets. Protesters dragged riot police out of formation and beat them with various weapons. The anti-government marches became violent as Zocalo Square was organized by members of Gen Z, people born between the late 90s and early 2010s. IDF spokesperson during an offensive operation by a reserve battalion from the Sharon Brigade last night in the Nebulous area. A terrorist threw an explosive device at the force, and force responded with fire and eliminated terrorists. There was no casualties among our forces. The international seminar of lessons from the war across all arenas begins with preparation of senior commanders and officers from leading militaries worldwide led by the IDF ground forces. An international seminar on operational lessons from the war across all arenas began today, Sunday, and will continue through the end of the week. In the seminar, commanders and officers from various militaries around the world who have come to learn from the IDF's experience over the past 2 years will participate. Participating countries include the United States, Canada, the United Kingdom, Germany, Finland, India, Greece, Cyprus, Czech Republic, Hungary, Poland, Austria, Estonia, Japan, Morocco, Romania, Serbia, and Slovakia. The purpose of the seminar is to strengthen cooperation, enhance familiarity with diverse operational approaches, exchange professional knowledge and experience with participating militaries, and reinforce understanding of the IDF's activity. The IDF continues to initiate and promote international cooperation with leading militaries worldwide as part of its ongoing effort to strengthen relationships, enhance collaboration, and foster shared learning in the face of evolving security challenges. IDF earlier today, Sunday, 2 suspects were identified in the El Hamim's area in southern Lebanon. The troops subsequently fired 20 shots and the suspects distanced themselves. No injuries were reported. After a review, it was determined that the subjects were UN soldiers who were conducting a patrol in the area and were classified as suspects due to poor weather conditions. The incident is under examination. The IDF is emphasized that an undeliberate fire was directed toward UNIFIL soldiers, and the matter of being handled through official military liaison channels. The IDF will continue to operate to remove any threat to the state of Israel. IDF, the Chief of the General Staff in the Gaza Strip. The Chief of the General Staff, Lieutenant Ayaz Amir, has a situational assessment today, Sunday, in the Gaza Division, along with the commander of the Southern Command, MG Unif Asar, the commander of the Gaza Division, VG Barak Haram, the commander of the 252nd Division, BG Yehuda Vach, all brigade commanders in the arena, and additional commanders. Afterward, the Chief of the General Staff conducted a field tour in the Rafah area. During the tour, the Chief of the General Staff reviewed the operational picture and developments in all arenas with an emphasis on the defensive effort, moving threats, and maintaining a constant radius for rapid shift and transition to offensive activities. From the remarks of the Chief of the General Staff, Lieutenant Ayaz Amir, the IDF operates in a changing reality and is contending with challenges across arenas. In the Gaza Strip, we've been in operation control of more than 50% of the area without controlling the civilian population. The yellow line serves as a security line and will continue to operate to prevent the monster resurgence by holding key areas as well as entrances to the Gaza Strip. Simultaneously to the current operational process, we must be prepared for the rapid transition to a large-scale activity to establish operational control of the areas in the Gaza Strip. If required, our troops continue operating along the yellow line to clear the area and eliminate terrorist strongholds. The Southern Command will continue operating decisively to carry out the mission of eliminating terrorists and dismantling underground terrorist infrastructure sites. While strictly maintaining security for our troops. We will continue to insist that a Hamas regime will not exist on those sides of the border, even if it requires time. We will persist in the mission of dismantling Hamas and demilitarizing the Gaza Strip, achieving this either through an agreement or through military means. In the past week, we have focused on the inquiries on the events of October 7th, established the expert committee upon entering my position as Chief of the General Staff out of full commitment to the truth and a desire to lead a deep process of learning and implementation of lessons. We owe this to the IDF and owe this to you, the commanders. We will not fear the implications everything is for advancing the IDF toward growth, learning, and progress. We will remember the events of October 7th for eternity, but also esteeming achievements in all arenas. Ahead of us is still the mission of conducting the inquiry of the entire war. This is a heroic war, and its achievements are yours, and thanks to you, I and the entire people of Israel appreciate you for your actions and for the achievements throughout the war. Ahead of the government meeting expecting to discuss the establishment of a state inquiry committee, the October Council stated. The October Council warns today that Prime Minister and government ministers do not dare to consider any move other than the immediate establishment of a state inquiry committee into the October 7th massacre in accordance with the law and justice. They attempt to bypass the law through a committee on behalf of committees to role is to cover up and not investigate say direct harm to the bereaved families of fighters and citizens of Israel and the foundations of the state. Speech of Saeed Masaragachi, Minister of Foreign Affairs at this meeting international conference, International Law Under Attack, Aggression, and Offense in the comment section. Meeting of Ali Hassan Khalil, Deputy Speaker of the Lebanese Parliament, with Saeed Abbas Aragachi, Minister of Foreign Affairs, on the sidelines of International Conference, International Law Under Attack, Aggression, and Defense. Meeting of Adan Mansour, former Lebanese Foreign Minister, with Saeed Abbas Aragachi, Minister of Foreign Affairs, on the sidelines of the International Conference, International Law Under Aggression, Invasion, and Defense. Aragachi, today our countries are being pushed towards strengthening their defense capabilities with relying on international law, a trend that leads to international chaos. The United States is following a dangerous path, and the international community must stand against the trend, returning to the values and principles of international law and diplomacy is the only way to guarantee global peace and stability. Aragachi efforts to create peace and establish calm at the focus of talks and contact. Focus of talks and contacts are aimed at preventing escalation of tensions. We are continuously conducting consultations and diplomatic negotiations and dialogue between Iran and the International Atomic Energy Agency is naturally ongoing. Iran's ambassador in Vienna is actively involved in the process, and 2 nights ago the ambassadors of Iran, Russia, and China jointly met with IAEA Director General to exchange views. Our talks with the agency are ongoing, and there are clear frameworks and rules for cooperation that have been defined according to changing field conditions. If these rules are observed, cooperation with the agency will continue. Ministry of National Defense, People's Republic of China, Chinese PLA, Navy's first Type 076 amphibious assault ship. Shenzhen conducts first sea trial. Palestinian Authority Chairman Mohammed Abbas with Jamil Sahaka, Chairman of Follow-Up Committee of the Arab Republic in Israel, following his election to this position and wished him success. Abu Mazen invited Zahalaka to a meeting in Ramallah. IDF activity of the 191st Division over the past week targeting Hezbollah's establishment efforts, locating weapons, striking 5 terrorist targets, eliminating 3 terrorist troops from the 128th Brigade and 300th Brigade operating under the 91st Division are operating to locate and dismantle terror infrastructures of the Hezbollah terrorist organization in the southern Lebanon area during a nighttime operation in the area of Ayat in southern Lebanon. Troops from the 228th Brigade dismantled several structures used by Hezbollah for terrorist activity. Recently, attempts to restore their use were identified. In the village of Rameh in southern Lebanon, troops from the 300th Brigade carried out an operation to dismantle weapons. Among the weapons located and dismantled were rifles, Kalashnikov type guns, magazines, and ammunition. In addition, over the past week, troops operating under the 91st Division together with the Israeli Air Force with the guidance of Intelligence Directorate guidance precisely struck 5 terrorist targets and eliminated 3 Hezbollah terrorists in several different villages. The presence of this terror infrastructure constitutes a violation of the agreement between Israel and Lebanon. The IDF continues to operate to remove any threats to the state of Israel. Alright. That looks like everything. See if I'm gonna do some and play some Spider-Man 3, see if I can get that working. Okay, let's see. That's not it. Actually, I just download both versions. Shit. Really? Okay, there you go. Then I'm gonna I was looking at the old Gauntlet games earlier today too, and I found that they had made a sequel after Gauntlet Dark Legacy, and I want to play it. They also made Gauntlet Slayer Edition, but you can get that on Steam, but it's like $14.99. I probably can find a way to play that because it's old. But I'm gonna try that out and see how it is. Download. Okay. I'll go back. Shit. Go back. Well. Go back. Here we go. Alright. I'm going to download the PS2 version. Wait, did I already download it? Yeah, I already downloaded it. Alright, never mind. Go back. Season 3. Alright, now go back. There we go. There it is. There we go. Alright. Cool. We can play the arcade version. PS1 ISOs. ISOs. Oh, wait a minute. Probably not. You don't see it now. Oh, there it is. Oh, shit. I still don't feel very good.
Ugh. Alrighty. Let me see, how long is this going to take? Alright, this one's already done. So I'll just go ahead and set it up. Game is unavailable. Alright, let's see if I remember how to do this. I haven't done this in a while. Extract. Shit, comes something. You need, there's not enough space on Windows. You need at least 3.17 gigabytes to copy these files. Damn it. Let's try putting it in Documents folder. Actually, I'll just put it in the wrong folder. Damn it. I don't really feel like doing this. Gotta make space. I think I deleted files I wasn't supposed to. Alright, should be good to go. Jeez, 3.63 terabytes.
Okay, well that one's already working. Open. Damn it. Yep, I've got to extract it before I can do it. Alright, now how am I gonna get the space to do this? Shit. Oh yeah, recycle bin. You can go check that. That should clear up space. Oh no, I don't want to delete that. I don't want to delete those. Settings. Documents. Ooh. Oh yeah, I can use my USB drive. Okay, there we go. Now I can extract that to the USB and then add it back to the ROM folder. Let's see. Shit. Okay, let's extract. I want to edit to the USB. And then I'm going to send it over to ROM file.